Oh, one person? Oh, wow. Who is in first place? Okay, Jerome, I see you. All right, next question. Where did the first American Mardi Gras take place? Okay, Louisiana. It did take place in Louisiana. It took place in New Orleans. So, oh, Jerome got bumped down. Kayla's in first place, behind, followed by Corey and Darian. What does Mardi Gras mean? And Mardi Gras is in a different language. It's actually in French. So, if you can translate that. Yes, Mardi Gras translates to Fat Tuesday in French, but it's also referred to as Shrove Tuesday in different countries as well. Okay, Kayla carrying first place. Mardi Gras parades have been canceled this year, so is that true or false? Yeah, unfortunately, due to COVID, they have canceled all of the parades this year. People will still be celebrating during their own times, but the whole celebration as a whole in the streets would be canceled this year. All right, where did the first ever Mardi Gras celebration take place in the U.S.? Yes, so the first ever Mardi Gras took place in Alabama, but the first American Mardi Gras took place in New Orleans. In Alabama, the first celebration was done by the French people when they first came to America. So it wasn't really American people, it was the French. Oh, Kayla lost your spot. Let's see if you can get back up there then. What does the color purple represent in Mardi Gras? Yeah, these questions are a little tougher because unless you have like good background information, you wouldn't really know. But each color does represent something specific, and purple does represent justice. Okay, next question is, what does gold represent? Yes, gold does represent power. I didn't mean to like make them the same color, but if you got it, good for you. Next is, what does the green represent? Green is the last color of the Mardi Gras representation. Okay, people moving up, Miss Kiana and Darian. Okay, Carnival and Mardi Gras are the same thing. True or false? False, that is correct. Carnival is the days between January and February 16th, or the day before Ash Wednesday, that you celebrate all these different activities and whatnot. But Mardi Gras is the one day at the end of that time where all the parades and whatnot are celebrated. So there are two different things. All right, halfway through. What is the following most famous food that Mardi Gras is known for? Yes, it is king cake. All right, Corey with the hot streak. What do people primarily wear during Mardi Gras parades? Yes, masks and necklaces, which you guys did find in your goodie bags when you picked them up. All right, Mardi Gras is also known by what name in some countries? This one could be a tricky one. Yes, it is Pancake Day. People wouldn't really think of that as to be a name, but it is. That's what people call it in a lot of different countries. Okay, this is my favorite. What Disney movie took place during Mardi Gras? Yes, Princess and the Frog. If you haven't seen that movie, you should definitely watch it tonight in stand up Mardi Gras. It is on Disney Plus if you haven't. All right, another true or false. Mardi Gras is the first day of carnival season. Yes, like I said, I see you, Whitney. Like I said before, Mardi Gras is the last day of carnival season, and it ends the day before Ash Wednesday. Okay, Kayla and Miss Kiana back on top five. What groups are known that organize the annual Mardi Gras festivities? Yes, crews are very important to the Mardi Gras culture and history because they plan everything that goes on. So if there's no crews, there's no Mardi Gras. All right, it is illegal not to wear a mask on board of a float. Yes, that is true. If you don't wear a mask on the float, good luck to you because you will not be able to get onto that float. You will be banned from other floats as well, and you will not be able to take part in these certain activities. So if you do go to Mardi Gras and you do want to get on a float, make sure you bring your mask with you. All right, what phrase will score you beads at parades? Yes, it's very simple. It's just throw me something, mister. It's not anything, technical or whatnot. You're just telling whoever's on the float just to throw you something. And then you'll get plenty of beads. And also, they also, besides of beads, they also throw the balloons and other things off of the floats. And the beads used to be made out of glass. So if they were throwing beads off the float and you get hit, it's very, unfortunate. But at least you got your beads. All right, Mardi Gras is celebrated in 2 days. Yes, that is false. Mardi Gras is celebrated on 1 day, and that is today. All right, what does it mean during Mardi Gras if you find a baby in the king cake? Yes, if you find a baby in the king cake, you have to host the next party. So if you're not ready to host the party, I don't know what to tell you because you did find a baby. So that is what that means. It's a little tiny porcelain baby too. So you would have to eat the cake in order to find it. All right, and last question. Mardi Gras success is measured in trash. It is true. Every night the next day after Mardi Gras, the street cleaners will come in and see how much trash is on the ground. And then if there's a lot of trash, that means Mardi Gras was a success. If there wasn't a lot of trash, then maybe they'll try again next year. But that's how they calculate the success. So let's see who our winners are. In third place, we have Amara. In second place, we have Kayla. In first place, we have, is it Lena? I'm sorry, you can come off mute and
yeah, I go by Elena, but I just put my
Okay, well, congratulations. 17 out of 20. You did a fantastic job. You'll be messaged on the side for information on how to receive your prize. So congratulations to the 3 of you. That was absolutely fantastic. So I hope you guys learned a lot of new information. Can anyone tell me like something that they learned, something that stood out to them?
That it's illegal to wear a mask on a float. Like,
yeah,
I've seen
they
it.
really take that very seriously.
Like, what if I have glasses? I can't wear a mask and glasses.
Yeah, it's hard, but they will literally carry you off of the float if you don't wear a mask. They take it very seriously. Anyone else?
I didn't know
the baby in the king.
The aftermath.
You said what, Corey?
Oh, I didn't know the aftermath was measured in trash. I know that. I've
seen pictures of Bourbon Street, and Bourbon Street would be filled with garbage, and they have to clean it the next day. But that's really the only way to really tell how good of a celebration it was. So yeah, was there anyone else?
I think the baby in the king cake was what was shocking to me. I thought when you got the baby, that means you was pregnant or you was about to have a baby.
No,
I didn't know.
Imagine though, that would be really crazy.
Right? I thought it was some prediction. But wow, the more you know.
Yeah. But yeah, does anyone else want to go, or anyone want to talk about what they would want to see if they was to ever go to Mardi Gras?
I would want to get into the food. That would be, yeah.
You said they throw glass beads.
The beads are made out of plastic now, but the beads used to be made out of glass. So they would literally throw them off of the bow.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But people were all for it. They love to win. So they say, throw me something this time, they get their beads, they get their prize. And they also get their doubloons. So but yes, I'm really glad you guys enjoyed it. Right now we are currently connecting to our guest speaker of the night as we wait for him. Kennedy said in the chat, when we go, we have to try Cafe de Mode. Okay, we'll definitely keep that in mind.
They have the best beignets. Well, everything is good.
Can you explain what a beignet is for everyone who doesn't know?
Basically, it's like this flaky, like it's almost like it's way like thinner than a biscuit, but it's really flaky, and they put like this powdered sugar on it, and it's just so good.
That is so good. Thank you so much for that. But as we move on into our program, I would like to announce our new guest speaker for tonight. He's toured the USA, Canada, and the Bahamas and Japan for over 25 years as a stand-up comedian. He's appeared in web series, short films, featured films, and the music video Good Time from Grammy-winning band Ranky Tanky, and he just appeared in an episode of Bravo's Real Housewives of Atlanta. I know some of us watched that. On January 31st, 2021, and I would like you all to give a please warm Aggie welcome to Brian T. Shirley.
Hi, Brian.
Hello.
You're on mute.
How's that? Is that better now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Good to be here for NC State University and this marvelous celebration of Mardi Gras. And I got to tell you, folks, I've learned a lot over the last couple of weeks about Mardi Gras that I didn't know in preparing for this. So I've got some history about Mardi Gras. Some of y'all may or may not know. A lot of interesting facts. And then I got a couple of stories that have to do with about Mardi Gras. And wow, it was kind of a chore to find any stories about Mardi Gras that were fictional and, something that could, be dealt with in this situation. But I did. I've got two. One is fictional and one of them is real. It really happened. And I thought y'all might find these interesting. By the way, I've got my beads on. I've got my New Orleans, Louisiana medallion. And I've got a bunch, but I'm not going to wear all of them because I thought it'd be too distracting and too noisy. But I'll tackle a couple of things first because people ask when I bring it up. But yes, I was on Real Housewives of Atlanta a couple of weeks ago. How I got that was I was part of a cast dinner detective. We did dinner detective shows here in Charleston. And so I'd play the killer or I'd play one of the plants, one of the people that were a suspect, or I would host it, we all switched our roles. But LaToya from Real Housewives wanted to have a girls' weekend here in Isle Palms, South Carolina. And she wanted Dinner Detective to come do a show for them as a surprise. Only her and one other girl, I think it was Kenya, knew about us coming. And then we surprised the rest of the girls. We did a private show for them in the living room of this mansion right on the beach. And so that's how I got that. It was fun. I mean, it was crazy. And, just one of those things. I got lucky. I got a national TV appearance out of it. And Ranky Tanky, believe it or not. Now, I don't know how many of y'all are native to North Carolina or, the South, but Ranky Tanky is actually Gullah. The term is Gullah for move it, for shake, get funky. Seriously, that's what those mean. And it's part of the Gullah, which starts in North Carolina on the Outer Banks. It goes all the way down to, say, about Jacksonville, I guess, Florida. But that whole Gullah community is on the eastern shore out of Africa, and it dates back to the beginning of our country. And they're just trying to showcase the Gullah because our there's language in the English, the American that come from Gullah. There's a lot of terms that you don't even know are Gullah inspired or straight from Gullah itself. So just a little tidbit there. But they did win the Grammy last year for Best Regional Roots Band, and I was in the video, which was cool. I played a bill collector shutting down a bar, and Rinky Tinky showed up and did a concert and raised money. And I came back and got the money and danced because I was happy, because you get happy when you get paid. So that's that. Anyway, moving on to Mardi Gras. What do you think of when you think about Mardi Gras? Oh yeah, of course, beads. That's one of the big things with Mardi Gras. So we're going to start there. Like I said, I've got a bunch, but I didn't want. This one's kind of neat. These are now. I don't know if y'all know this, but yeah, party exactly. Purple, green, and gold. That's the colors for Mardi Gras that it's known for. And purple is justice. Then you have gold is power, and green is faith. So that's what the colors for Mardi Gras stand for. And you can see this one's got a little masks on it, which I thought was really cool. And that's another part of Mardi Gras that goes back, way back. Mardi Gras actually goes back to Europe centuries ago. Mardi Gras is older than the United States. Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday, means Fat Tuesday, which, why is it Fat Tuesday? Well, because back in the old days, they didn't have refrigerators. So the night before Ash Wednesday, which is Lent, you have to give up meat and things like that. Well, they couldn't freeze it, so whatever they had to eat that night until Lent was over. Hence fat. They're eating the fat before they go to the lead, which is just basically vegetables. So Fat Tuesday, the night before Ash Wednesday. So that's why Mardi Gras, French for Fat Tuesday. So Mardi Gras actually, it's Carnival or Carnival that actually starts on January 6th and lasts right till tonight, or Fat Tuesday. And that goes, like I said, those things go back to Europe. Here's another one just for the hell of it. Now these are throws. You know what beads are? They're throws. They're thrown from the parade. And this guy, whoever put this together, was pretty smart. They got bugs on it because it's a pest control company. And I wanted to show you that because that's what's going on. Is that now this thing has gotten so commercial that that they're putting that they're smart. Some of these crews, that's what they're called, crews, are smart, and that they're using it for advertising when they put out their throws, because they put thousands of dollars into these throws. Now I'll go into that real quick in a minute, but I wanted to tackle the masks. Like I showed you, the masks go back to Europe. By the way, you can only wear, now before COVID, you could only wear masks in New Orleans on Mardi Gras. It was illegal to wear a mask any other time of the year except for Mardi Gras. And of course, now you have to wear a mask. But masks go back to Europe because of the class system. Because whenever they did Mardi Gras, people would wear masks at this party, and everybody was equal then. You couldn't tell who was the snobby high class or who was the serfs, because everybody was wearing a mask. And it was that one time during the year that everybody was on equal footing. So that's why that just became part of Mardi Gras. And now, as a matter of fact, if you're on a parade float, you have to wear a mask. That's part of the culture of Mardi Gras. You have to wear a mask if you're on a parade float. So what are some of the things about Mardi Gras that y'all probably don't know? Well, one of the things is that it was banned here in the United States for a little while, from the early 1700s to about 1857. Why? You're going to find this kind of funny. Because of the drunken debauchery. Yeah, they were partying a little too hard back then. And that's where this supposedly started as carnival, even though it was religious. the roots of this are very religious. You were talking about, when I popped in, somebody was talking about the king cake. And I don't know if they covered this, but the king cake is named the king cake because of the three kings that gave Jesus the gifts, the gold, frankincense, and myrrh. That's why we refer to it as the king cake. And once upon a time, and sometimes still, I guess, but a lot of people kind of got away from the practice a little bit. There was a baby in the cake. When they would bake the king cake, they would put a baby, a plastic baby, little plastic baby in the king cake, and that represented Jesus Christ. So when you ate the cake, if you were, of course, they cut it up before they serve it to you. And if you were the one that got the piece with the plastic baby in it, then there were several things that were tied to that. One of them was you were the person that did the king cake the next year. You hosted the party and you made the king cake if you got the little plastic baby in your slice of the king cake. Also, this is not for sure, this is not all the time, but some people think that if you get the baby, that's a signal for good luck for the next year. So that's kind of one of those, some people believe it, some people don't. Kind of go where you may with that. Now these crews, Krewe, crew. There are over 70 crews now. And these are the people that do the floats. And the crews are the reason that we have Mardi Gras and Carnival today. It would not have, because remember, like I told you, it was outlawed for a while. Well, one of the crews decided to bring it back. And the way they brought it back was to elevate it. Instead of the drunken debauchery, they had balls and parades. They wanted to make it acceptable to the general public. So that was around, I guess, 1857 is when it started coming back. And then it got real popular, especially in New Orleans. And that's why it's big there in New Orleans, because that's where this basically started with this crew back in 1857. And they brought it back. Now there's 70 crews. So every parade you see has these floats in it. Each one of those floats is by a different crew and has whatever that crew wants to do that year, whatever theme they come up with is what you'll see on that float. But there are some staples. One of the oldest, and this could go back to Europe as a matter of fact, one of the oldest things in Mardi Gras is the bull. If you ever see the parade in the float with a bull on it, that's the Rex. And that goes way back. They actually used to sacrifice a bull on Mardi Gras, but obviously that did not last. So now that is it's a statue or whatever. They don't kill a bull anymore. And I think they stopped doing that around the turn of the last century, around the late 1800s or into the 1900s. Somewhere around there, they stopped killing the bull, which was good. So now it's just a symbolic thing. And that's Rex. That's the Rex crew that does that. And they have the big bull on the parade float. There's coconuts from the Zulu crew. That's one of the biggies. That's one of the things, if you're there, you've got to get one of those coconuts. They started that because now every crew has its own throws. And you saw it. This is a throw. The beads are a throw. There's doubloons. One of the crews has doubloons. That's their throw. And obviously a throw is something that's thrown out to the audience. The Zulus used to throw coconuts. Guess what happened? Somebody got hurt. As a matter of fact, several people got hurt. And so now they cannot throw coconuts anymore. They actually shave the if you want to call it hair or whatever on the outside of the coconut. They shave them down and they carve faces in them or paint them and stuff. And they really spend a lot of time on these things. And now those are handed, and not to everybody. The Zulu crew picks who they want to hand at whatever time when they're going through the parade. And that's one of the big throws, if you even know it ain't a throw anymore, but that's still a big throw. If you get it, you've got something special there. And I want to talk about because this has a lot to do with the African American community. This was something very interesting. and it's the Mardi Gras Indians, and that's what they're called, Mardi Gras Indians. Now this started around the mid 1800s to late 1800s, and it had all to do about the indigenous people in the New Orleans area helped escaped slaves. And here's how they did it. They would hide them amongst their tribe, dressing them up in their garb so they couldn't be found. You know, face paint, feathers, the whole thing. And that has become a very big part of Mardi Gras now. Here's what's really cool about it. These people work a year. An individual person, an African American, will work a year on their outfit, which is made of beads and feathers, and then, you know, other materials. But the two main materials are beads and feathers. They work the whole year on putting this outfit together to only wear it one time. And it is a sign of pride for these people. They wear it once, and then if you were to go to their house, you would see every one that they've done. They have them stacked up in their house on display, you know. And I watched a lot of videos about this, and I thought, well, that is one of the neatest. I got actually my hair standing up on my arm because I just thought it was such a neat tradition for these folks to do, and they still do it to this very day, and they're very proud of it. And you can look it up on YouTube. As a matter of fact, I think if you just type in Mardi Gras Indians, it'll pop up. But just another one of those things I did not know about Mardi Gras. Now, you might think, well, all these parades are on Bourbon Street or in the French Quarter, and no, they're not. They've been outlawed there. They're on Canal Street and some other streets. So don't go to Bourbon Street looking for the parade. You'll see a lot of people there, but you won't see the parades. The parades are kid-friendly. They actually have ladders with tiny seats on them for children that are lined up for miles, going up and down the roads where the parade routes are. So they have the debauchery and the partying. Yeah, that's there. But then there is that other side of Mardi Gras that is very family friendly and is for children too, you know, because they say this is the biggest free party in the world. It lasts usually from January 6th to February 13th, but the date is movable. It just depends on the season, you know, the holiday season, because this is all about a biblical occurrence, the biblical holiday of Lent and everything. So it is movable. But these kids really get to see free music, free parade, and free goodies, the throws. So Mardi Gras is not just the big party that everybody thinks it is. Although I will tell you this, the stories that I have for you, and I know I came on a little early, so y'all just tell me if I'm running into y'all's time. One of them, it's called Cracks, and it's by a guy named William Cohen. And I think I'm saying his name right, but I found this online. And the reason it's called Cracks, I believe, is because it's kind of symbolic. This guy sees cracks all throughout New Orleans when he's walking around, cracks in the sidewalk. And I think it also represents cracks in our lives. You know, I think it's a double entendre. So you read it, see for yourself. I'm going to do you kind of like the edit. I'm going to do the edited version for sure, just to keep it a little on the PG side. Although I'm a comedian, I've been doing it for 25 years. I do clean shows, I do adult shows. Doesn't bother me. But for this situation here, I figured I would do some editing. Plus, it's in first person. And, you know, to be honest, I'm not 22. And I think the character is around that age. So I will just do you a Reader's Digest version of Cracks. And let's just say that the protagonist, the main character's name is Carl. And because I don't think ethnicity plays a part into this. He could be any, color or creed or whatever you want to call it. But so just put that in your head too. Let Carl be whomever you want him to be. And he's one of these guys. He's a bartender, and this, like I said, this is a contemporary story. This story he could have wrote this 2 weeks ago at the beginning of Mardi Gras. This is very contemporary. And it gives us insight into the people that live there, what their lives are like, and what Mardi Gras is. He is a bartender, and he's one of these guys that falls in love daily. One night he falls in love with a redhead, only to wake up the next morning to see that she doesn't love him anymore. So what does he do? Goes to the bar, and spots Gia. Gia is a young Oriental lady who's reading a book on the porch of the bar, and he's smitten immediately. He really doesn't even believe she's 18, much less 21, and she can barely lift the beer that's right beside her. He goes up, lights a cigarette, asks if he can sit down, and she says, yeah, without even looking up. So he sits. And then we fast forward 6 months later. They're in bed. She's peppering him with kisses as he tries to wake up. And finally, she relents and goes back to her phone, giggling in between the texts. Something we've already all been a part of. She's wanting to go to Bacchus. Bacchus is one of the celebrations for Mardi Gras as Carnival continues on. And like I said, he's a bartender. She's a waitress. He's gotten somebody to work a shift. She's gotten somebody to take hers so they can go to this Bacchus celebration parade. And in his mind, he's thinking, what we do. We go out, we drink, we go to work, drink, get up late, do it again, put more money back into the industry that we're a part of. And so that shows you where he's at. He's in that world. He loves it, but he's trapped. It's just his life. He's part of that party atmosphere, and he can't escape. And this is just part of it. The people he meets that he falls in love with, and sometimes doesn't last. But this one right now is lasting 6 months, and she wants to go and do her outfit, her costume, which is big. When you're going to these parties and everything, and you're in Mardi Gras, you want to dress up. And she scampers off to put on her outfit. So put it together. And of course, he's thinking of his outfit as he rolls his own and goes and gets a couple of beers. And his outfit is going to be a crazy t-shirt and some beads and jeans. That's how inventive and how into it he is. We see his character through what he's wearing. And then she comes back with her outfit, which of course he knew would be skimpy. And it's, yoga pants that leave little to the imagination, with green boots and pink hair and gold lipstick and just beads. No shirt, no bra, just beads and maybe black tape, on her chest. Of course, she looks at him and she says, are you upset because I'm not wearing a shirt? He fakes it and says, no, I'm fine. Because he knows who they're going to meet. They're going to meet Trey and Sid and Bryce. Trey is the friend. And that's the thing in his head that won't go away. How many friends that are men that she's had in the past? And the way she says friends even frustrates and aggravates him. Because it's like when he meets these friends, there's little secrets that they know that he doesn't, that he feels in his head. This is all in his mind. He thinks, do they know something about her I don't? And so they go out, and he can see all the eyes on her as they walk past, all the guys looking at her as they try to get to Bacchus, And this is where he sees the cracks as they're walking in the sidewalk, where a tree, the roots push the sidewalk up, and he knows that, that's done. There's no way that's going back to being flat ground. that's a crack, you know. And then he watches her walk. And then they go to meet the friends. Trey. Now, how many people have a Trey in their lives? How many guys have a girl and she knows a Trey? Could be another name, could be Bill or Frank or something, but a Trey is a guy that hangs around unavailable women and waits for the opportunity to make a move to say, you know, you should be with me, not him. You know, that's a Trey to Carl, you know. And yeah, exactly. Yup, Trey. And I think we all know guys like that. And he says in the story, our author lets us know that everybody's had a Trey. If you haven't, you will. And when you get one, you know, which is true. So they meet with Trey and Sid, and Sid and Gia had a threesome with a guy from Europe over a year ago, which really bugs Carl, and he kicks himself for having asked her to tell him these secrets about her past. He wishes he wouldn't have even known any of those things. So he doesn't like Sid either. He definitely doesn't like Trey, and he doesn't like Sid because she represents that past of Gia's that Carl doesn't want to be reminded of. And then there's Bryce, Sid's boyfriend, who's 20 years older, tells you to buy beer and bring good beer while he's got a natty light, you know. And he walks up and says, hey, can I put my beers in your cooler, Bryce? And Bryce says, sure, can I have one? And of course admires the beer that Carl brought because he's got the cheap stuff. And he'll give Carl's away or he'll drink Carl's. And they're all sitting there, and Carl wants to move. He wants to go, but he can't because he's with Gia. But he does say, look, I'm going to go to the restroom. And as he goes, he sees a small child about 10. You know, as a matter of fact, he trips over the kid's foot in the middle of the crowd. And the kid looks up. He's bent over from all the beads that he's got. He's mischievous look on his face and disappears into the audience. And at this point of the story, the crowd, all in Mardi Gras itself, it becomes another character. You know, you see through Carl's eyes how this is an entity. You know, it's a wall, or it's a crack that you get into, and it's hard to get out. When he's trying to find Gia, he loses her. She goes to get some throws from the Bacchus parade, and he loses her, but finds her, loses her again, and finds her. And she gets a good throw and turns around to show him, and he gives her the thumbs up. And notices Trey putting his hands on her waist, and she smiles but scoots away, because she's not really into Trey. So Carl goes, uses the restroom, and there's where the party goes away for just a second. He goes a block away, and you can no longer hear all the ruckus and everything. But as soon as he starts heading back, that's when some guy is sitting there at a keg and asking him, hey, you want to do a keg stand? And he's like, no, thanks, man. And then here comes a girl in short shorts wanting to hold her up so she can do the keg stand. And he does. And she's drunk before she even does it, and does 90 seconds of the keg, and shouldn't even done it. Even the keg guy is shaking his head like, oh boy, here we go. And when she's finished, she puts her hands up in triumph as the crowd that's watching on the porch yells, and she grabs Carl and pulls him to the side and jumps in his arms and tries to kiss him and says, hey, let's hang out. And Carl's like, no, I got to get back to my friends. And even in his head, he's like, well, what would I do? You know, I mean, give her something that she doesn't want, you know. There's some other guy that's ready for this, not me. There's another guy who's been thinking of his name all day, and he'll find her, and then she'll try to call him tomorrow, and there won't be any answer. So we can see that Carl is even negative about other people that are in his same situation. So he heads back and he finds Gia, and together they go back home because she's she's drunk and she doesn't want to be there anymore. And besides, Trey did something she didn't like. And before Carl can find out what it is, there's Kevin, the young boy he had seen earlier, with tears in his eyes. This young boy that neither of them knew. But Gia reaches out in her kindness and says, what's wrong? Where's your parents? And the young boy gives her a number, and she calls it, and somebody answers, and she rolls her eyes. Yes, where are you at? We'll bring them to you. So she brings this young boy to a van, and on the way, of course, Carl is going through his negative thoughts. He thinks, well, what if this is a setup? What if it's two guys that are going to rob us or worse? But of course it isn't. It's just a van full of kids with a 13-year-old in charge. Gia says, will he be good here? Will he be safe? And the 13-year-old doesn't even look up. He says, yeah. So they leave the kid and go back home. And that's when Gia looks at Carl and thanks him, says, thank you for coming. I know you didn't want to. And I know you do a lot of things for me that you don't want to do. And then she's very honest, he feels, when she says she loves him. He can see it behind her eyes. He can feel it. And she says she's going to go inside. And she does. And Carl says he'll be there in a minute. And kind of wanders around for a little bit, looks down and toes a crack in the sidewalk as he fights back tears. The end. Thank you. So that was Cracks, and I invite you by Walter Coing if you want to check that out. Like I said, I gave you the I gave you the expurgated version. You can go and get the more adult version, but I thought the story was really neat, and it really brings you into these persons' lives and New Orleans itself. Does anybody have any questions at this point for me? We got a little time.
Yeah, well, you said where we can get that book again?
You'd have to look it up online. It's Walter Coing, and I believe it's Koewing, and it's a short story. Cracks, Cracks, by Walter Coing. And like I said, I just paraphrased it because I didn't want to. Well, you'll see if you read it. But I gave you the good gist of it. Let's put it that way. Any other questions? And I got one more for you.
I have a question.
Sure.
So when you see the baby in a cake and you don't throw a party the next year, what happens? Is this like considered bad luck or something?
Now that to be honest, they never said anything about that, about, what if you refuse to, do, I think it would just be a social faux pas, really, because, it's part of the celebration, it's part of the tradition, really, of Mardi Gras. It's one of many. There are so many that I couldn't even cover all of them. But no, I don't think, it's just people would be going, come on, man, you're not going to make the cake. You got the baby, I think that'd be about it. And you probably wouldn't get invited to any more king cake parties. Anybody else? All right. This one I'm going to have to cut real short because I did not realize how long I'd gone. This is a true story. I don't know how many of you folks watch Saturday Night Live. You don't have to for this story, but you've heard of Saturday Night Live, the show, I'm sure. Well, their second season, you got to remember, this was 1975 to 1976 was their first season. They won 4 Grammys, and they were really hot. I mean, this was the show to watch on Saturday nights. And they were the not ready for primetime players because they came on at 11:30 right after the news and did 90 minutes. So that's almost unheard of. But I mean, they still do it. But they are the not ready for primetime players. And it's important to remember that because halfway through the second season, 1977, Lorne Michaels decided, hey, we're going to take the show to New Orleans second week of Mardi Gras. I had no idea this happened. and you'll see why in a second, why a lot of people don't know about this. NBC was looking for something to fill a 8 o'clock primetime slot. They were having problems with that slot because that was a special ratings sweep thing that they did in February. And Lauren pitched the idea and they took it. They said, yes, let's do it. 8 o'clock, hour and a half, Saturday Night Live, prime time in New Orleans. So he sent production crew down there about a week or so in advance to scout out the location. The mayor was all in. He was like, yes, please come and do it. You gotta remember though, they'd only been on TV a year, so they weren't even real sure at that time how they would be received outside of New York, if anybody would even know who the hell they were, you know, the cast members. Chevy Chase had left at this point, and John Belushi was the big star now. So he almost didn't do this episode because he felt he was written out. Garrett Morris, the only African-American on the cast at the time, was also the only New Orleans, the person from New Orleans. He was the only one that was a native of New Orleans on the Saturday Night Live cast. And he barely got any time on this, which was very frustrating for him. He had actually written a song that he figured they could do back B-roll, what they call B-roll shots of him, you know, in various locations, and pitched it, and they just flat turned him down. So he was a little miffed about that, and I think he left in the 80s, maybe 1980. And so they go down there. They got Penny Marshall and Cindy Williams. And those names may not mean anything to you, but Laverne and Shirley, huge show at the time. They were grand marshals at on one of the floats for the city of New Orleans during Mardi Gras. So who better to have as guest stars on Saturday Night Live when they shot it down there? So they got them to be guest stars. They had Henry Winkler, the Fonz. They did a segment with him before just to keep in the can, just in case. And then they had a music act named Gary. Oh, crap. Now I'm going to mess it up. Anyway, they had a guy that was famous back then that was on to do 4 songs. He was safe. He was in the new built theater, which was one of the reasons why the mayor was happy that Saturday Night Live was coming. All kinds of things went wrong. They had power outages. Gilda Radner, who did several big characters on Saturday Night Live at the time, did her Emily Latella character and was groped on the side of the road in the crowd. She was in the crowd doing her character, and people were grabbing her. And they called it the group grope incident, which is not good. 2 of the cast members, Buck Henry, and I believe it was Jane Curtin, were going to do a style of Thanksgiving parade style where they, you know, during Thanksgiving parade, they'd have people kind of doing commentary on the floats and everything. Well, they were going to do a funny commentary on floats for the parade. So they stationed them on one of the streets, and the parade never happened. And they didn't, of course, know this. Every time the cameras were on them and they went back to them and said, "You're live," the crowd was getting madder and madder and started throwing stuff at them every time they knew they were live. Just all kinds of things that could go wrong went wrong. And Randy Newman was the guy. He did 4 songs, and there was a local band called the Meters that were really big in New Orleans, and they were supposed to do at least 1 song, if not 2, and they were at a bar waiting all night to get their song in and never got it. They were snubbed. That the lead singer felt that they were snubbed, but Saturday Night Live did make it up to them a year and a half later and put them on the show. But they thought their big shot was, you know, they got screwed. They were on their way up, and this would have helped propel them, and who knows. This actually, Lorne Michaels, for this article that I read for this story, they would not do, and this was in 2002 when the story was written, they would not do a interview for this story. You can find most of the facts about this in a book called Saturday Night Live, Backstage to Saturday Night. And this was one of those, he will not let this thing be aired again. This is not in rotation. This is not a rerun. it aired maybe once, twice at the most, and he's done with it. He does not want it out there because to him it was just a total disaster. And I had watched Saturday Night Live for years, never knew, because I was too young to watch it when it came out. Believe it or not, I'm not old. Anyway, I never knew this. I never knew until I did research for this thing tonight that they had done a primetime show, and the last primetime show. And they did a couple of specials primetime here or there, but this really killed them getting a good shot at a primetime on a regular basis type thing. So, any questions? I think, I got more if you guys want it, but I just bow to y'all, see what you guys are all about. No, yes, okay.
No, this has been great. Thank you.
Okay. And you can look at these things. I tell you what, they got a lot of stuff on YouTube. I did not find the story or the Saturday Night Live thing on YouTube, just so you know, don't go looking for that. Or you can, but maybe they're on there. Maybe the Saturday Night Live story is on there. I don't know if you can find any clips, but it would be interesting to see some of the things. John Belushi, like I said, some of these people almost quit because of this. And Cindy Williams and Penny Marshall, Laverne and Shirley, couldn't get any sleep. They had rehearsed Laverne and Shirley in Los Angeles, for the next show that we were doing, and then flew out to New Orleans, and immediately Lorne Michaels wants them rehearsing for their stuff on Saturday Night Live, and Cindy Williams, people would not wake her up. They refused, and Penny Marshall had taken a sleeping pill and was slurring, telling Lorne, "Do I sound like I can do anything?" And you can't blame her. You gotta have rest. And actually, some guy gave her a wet willy. Now, when she tells the story, I thought a wet willy was when you stuck your finger in your mouth and put it in somebody's ear. This guy stuck her belly button. So I had never heard of that as a wet willy, but I couldn't be wrong. And these are just, there's plenty more. But I hit the highlights on this because it was an incredible story.
All right, well, if we can give a virtual round of applause to Brian T. Shirley, we thank you so much for coming out and giving up these stories tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much. And I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I hope you guys had a great little Mardi Gras celebration, and I hope you guys have a great night. Thank you so much for coming out. And make sure you guys do the survey that is in the chat. And yeah, have a great night, everyone. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. That was amazing. Thank you.
Have a good night.